Welcome to the channel and welcome to this conversation about what Games Workshop can do about 3D printing. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are a subscriber, welcome if you are a new viewer. I recently got a 3D printer and I have been 3D printing things. Some naughty and some not naughty, but the question, there are basically a lot of conversations around like what can and should Games Workshop be doing about 3D printing. It's kind of a difficult one because they own intellectual property and copyrights and all sorts of things to do with what they have created, and that's rightly so, I think. But with 3D printers now being a thing, and a lot of imitations getting made and a lot of basically just copies getting made available online for free, that's basically a problem for Games Workshop. And Games Workshop is not a company without problems if you look recently. So I made a video maybe about 2 years ago, and it was about ways to make money in the hobby. If you're not like a big YouTuber or Patreons or things like that, just as a normal person. And one of them was basically like investing in Games Workshop, which I did, not a huge amount, but a little bit, enough you can just buy on your app and things like that. There's plenty of those apps now. Games Workshop stock, I think it performed better than Apple, Google, Microsoft, Facebook stock. Games Workshop did better than all of those stocks over that period. And so, people made money out of that. However, in recent times it's dipped because I think Warhammer Plus, I think that has been a failure basically. And if you're gonna measure by any of the kind of success metrics that similar things use. Anyway, I'm kind of getting off piste a little bit. I'll go into a bit more about that stuff later because I think that touches on one of the options of things that Games Workshop can do. One of the things that they could do, and they have been doing for the last couple of years, is basically like litigate, like get lawyery, get legal, send cease and desists to 3D artists who are making things that look too similar to your things, or who are basically just copying your things. I think personally that's fair enough. If you've made something and then someone copies it, like, you are literally within your rights to pursue that and ask them to not do it. I think if 3D printing does become more popular, and I think they're just endlessly going to be playing a game of whack-a-mole if they just do that approach, that they can never really win. I'm just thinking back to the days of like pirating like films and TV shows and things like that. Like, that still happens. People are free to do it, and lots of people still do it. I think that Games Workshop are basically never going to win if they just plan to cease and desist everyone who does anything that remotely infringes on their rights. I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying that I anticipate that to be the reality for how, if they're going to approach it that way. I think people are still going to be able to get the files if they want them. One option is just to ignore it. It's not what I would do, and that's not what they are. I don't know if they are kind of ignoring it at the minute or not. I haven't heard of many recent cease and desists. One thing they have done with animators and things who are making like fan films, they like hired them. I think I heard on the grapevine that like they were okay to work with as well, like if you're an animator. Which is nice because we work with some companies and they're just not nice to work with. It's kind of good to hear that they are. But yeah, they could just ignore what's happening. Just denial, like let people print if they want. Just keep producing models. People are still going to buy them. People are still going to want to use the IPs for video games. Yeah, I mean, they could just ignore it. I doubt that they would do that, but it's an option. Now getting into the sort of more, I would say arguably sensible options, but that doesn't mean likely at all. They could sell 3D files. There might be people watch. I think I've got a couple of Games Workshop employees who subscribe to me, at least a couple, and I've been playing since second edition since like 93 or 94, like 1994, like So yeah, before some of you might have been born watching. And I don't think Games Workshop would ever do that. I think they're too good at knowing the value of their like IP to sell it cheaply. Definitely not to sell it like for a single use sort of basis. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna buy a Space Marine squad and then I can 3D print it and like have that. I don't think they'd do that. So yeah, selling individual 3D files, I don't think they'd do that. But my final thing that I think that they should do, that they absolutely should do, is something that I've seen some 3D artists do online, and which we see a lot of like entertainment companies do, and that is basically move to the Netflix model. So they've tried it with Warhammer Plus. I've heard that there just basically wasn't enough content on there to justify the kind of money that they were asking for it. Like, was it like £10 a month or something? Like that's what I pay for Netflix, and there's just a wealth of content on there. Always new stuff. It's just like there's just a phenomenal amount of stuff there, and I think the price has to match up with the value proposition of like any product. And I'm not sure it does for Warhammer Plus. Did you get some free models with it as well, something like that in a magazine, like, or is that a different thing? Anyway, I think they should move to the Netflix model on the basis of like if you pay £35 a month, you can get all these like new 3D model ranges. Maybe they wouldn't do the same like 3D models that you can get in the shop. Maybe it would be like, to do that they would be sacrificing some element of like their own like quality control for products, and I think it might just potentially create this like black market of 3D files, just what's the word, available out there. You know, I could have a subscription and then just give it to my friends if they could solve that. But there are 3D artists now on that I've seen on Patreon, and for £35 a month you can print all of their models and sell them. So you could basically have a world where instead of Games Workshop manufacturing everything and selling it like they do now for prices that are just, in my opinion, like eye-watering, like you could have people printing them at home, but they're still spending money. Like I don't spend £35 a month on miniatures, but I'd be tempted to do a subscription with a 3D printer now where I could just like print the back catalogue. Do you know what I mean? But then I might just print hundreds of minis and then stop my subscription. So yeah, I mean, Netflix are doing it hugely successfully. Amazon Prime, they are hugely successfully converting people to pay, like, what is it, £70 a year for Amazon Prime, which gets you all the TV shows, etc., and also deliveries. Microsoft, like Xbox Game Pass, like that is hugely successful for turning people into like continuous revenue. Like I have Game Pass, it's absolutely great. I've also got, I've actually got the Game Pass Ultimate, so I've got like, I pay like £30 a month, and I've got the Xbox One X and all the games. Like, you know, titles come out like, and I don't have to buy them. It's just on my subscription. Like, can you imagine like if Games Workshop did that with 3D models, and like, I don't know, a new Tau tank came out or something, and you could just print it. I don't know. I think if they could handle how maybe you give people like single-use STL files or something. I think I think that would be the way to go. But it might, honestly, that might be too technically not feasible, or like too, you know, there's basically, I think there'll be some old heads at the top of Games Workshop running the business, and they just probably potentially wouldn't be on board with it because it's too risky, and that's fair enough. But yeah, so yeah, those are what I see as the options for what Games Workshop can do about basically people printing their stuff and stopping buying models, or maybe even not stopping buying models, maybe just printing stuff. Yeah, cool. I've probably missed some. If I have done, then please, what's the word? Leave a comment. Like, what have I missed? Maybe I'll do a follow-up along the lines of this. Okay, I've been John at Peacetime Painting. Thank you for watching, and take care of yourselves. Bye.